See, this is rice powder. He's putting rice powder. Just spreading it on the table. He's making one type of sound. And the rice will form a pattern, you will see. You're able to see? Forms a beautiful pattern, no? Now he will make another sound that is going to form another pattern. You will see now. Different type of sound. Slowly it changes, you will see. See how it has become? Totally changed. See? Again the old one. Now again the pattern will become like the old one, you will see. Same pattern has come. That means a particular sound has a particular pattern. See that? So this is effect of sound on matter. Now what you saw is, that means, so like this they are showing the effect of sound.
The Vedas, however, are not as well known for presenting historical and scientific knowledge as they are for expounding subtle sciences, such as the power of mantras. We all recognize the power of sound itself by its effects, which can be quite dramatic. Here, a high-pitched frequency shatters a drinking glass. So, we can easily understand that loud sounds can produce substantial reactions. It is commonly believed that mantras can carry hidden power, which can in turn produce profound effects. The ancient Vedic literatures are full of descriptions of weapons being called by mantra. For example, many weapons were invoked by mantra during the epic Kurukshetra war, wherein the Bhagavad Gita itself was spoken. The ancient deployment of Brahmastra weapons, equivalent to modern-day nuclear weapons, are described throughout the Vedic literatures. Additionally, mantras carry hidden spiritual power which can produce significant benefits when chanted properly. Indeed, the Vedas themselves are sound vibrations in literary form and carry a profound message. Spiritual disciplines recommend meditational practices such as silent meditation, silent recitation of mantras, and also the verbal repetition of specific mantras out loud. A clinical test of the benefits of mantra chanting was performed on 3 groups of 62 subjects, males and females of average age 25. They chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 25 minutes each day under strict clinical supervision. Results showed that regular chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra reduces stress and depression and helps reduce bad habits and addictions. These results formed a PhD thesis at Florida State University.
Science studying spirituality. Correct, no? That means science can be used for studying spirituality. So this is very convincing to us because we are brought up in a scientific setting. Correct, no? Right from our school days. So if science can prove what spirituality teaches, And that becomes very satisfactory to our minds, and also it's also very helpful for us to establish the truths to our friends also, correct, no? When people ask, like here he said 4 things the Hare Krishna mantra chanting helps you to save yourself from stress, and he said depression, and other 2 things, huh? Bad addictions, he said. And one more thing he said. So it saves us from it's actually Florida State University, David Bryan Wolf, there's a research thesis available there. So this is a scientific study. Another interesting thing I'll show you somewhere.
All the way back to the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita, which are some ancient Indian texts. And there they talk about Vimanas. And in these Vimanas were talked about and written about that actually had Mercury engines and were able to levitate and fly silently across the land and transport the kings and elites from place to place. So we actually looked into that and said, could this be possibly real? And the more we looked into it, the more we found that it could potentially be very, very real theoretically. Mm-hmm. So we started experimenting with different concepts of using mercury because that's what they used. And mercury is a ferrofluid. It's actually a liquid metal. So we discovered that by putting this liquid metal into a torus, which is a steel torus with a reverse magnetic field inside of it, to keep the actual fluid from the ferrofluid from touching the inside. And then you actually can bring it up to a rotation to an RPM of about 50,000. Once you do that, and then pressurize that torus to about 250,000 pressures, you then get this amazing anti-gravity bubble. And you don't get complete anti-gravity, but you do get to reduce the weight of an object. With anything within the range of that torus field will be reduced by up to 70% the mass. So these are some of the theories that we're experimenting with, and we're very excited about it because it really looks like we'll be able to provide something that could potentially provide an anti-gravity or reduce the mass of an object.
You know, liquid is a metal and it is liquid also. So the Vimana Shastra, which gives in the Vedas, it says that you can make flying saucers if you have mercury liquid moved at a very high rotation per minute, which is sure. So this is an old Shastra, but who is talking about it? This is a NASA scientist is talking about it. You will see. So therefore in NASA they have a division of people who study Sanskrit. They are Sanskrit scholars on one hand and they are scientists on the other also. So they take the scientific, they take from Vimana Shastra and they do it in the laboratory. Now if you heard him well, he is not talking about theory. Did you observe him? He said that they are applying it already. And he is not an Indian. He is somebody from abroad. He's a big scientist speaking it. So when I saw such kinds of things like this, I felt that Vedas have something not only spiritually but also technologically also. Like things like this to provide. There are several fields. There are 40, 50 fields Vedas are talking about. Now another interesting thing I'll show you. It can be a riddle. Just a minute. Observe this special type of dog.
All say 1, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and last number is 10. You're a good boy. Give me answer. Quick. 1 plus 1. 3 plus 2. 5 plus 1. 7 plus 1. Now, give me answer. 5 minus 2. 5 minus 1. 5 minus 4. 6 minus 3. 7 minus 4. 8 minus 4. 10 minus 3. Very good. Good.
Not a single mistake he committed. Correct, no? So now, see, if somebody says that this dog must be trained in maths, therefore he is doing this. I can tell you, there is nobody in the world like Americans who love the dogs. Every American would want to get their dogs trained to, make mathematical calculation. Do you agree? Correct, no? In fact, they are more fond of dogs than India also. Every house has a dog and every person has his own dog. Correct, no? You'll see that. But this is not a trained dog. Right from birth, this dog is able to calculate mathematics. So, scientifically viewing it, what would be your explanation? Any of you? For this phenomenon? Huh?
Reincarnation.
Of course, let us not bring in any religion, only from a science point of view. Let us see from a scientific point of view. What explanation can a scientist give for this?
He has a brain as smart as a
Yes, sir?
He has a brain as smart as a human.
No, but how? Actually, as far as this dog is concerned, have you found one dog like this anywhere in the world? Do they have any explanation for that?
No scientific.
No,
scientific.
No, there is no evidence for that. If you ask any scientist, they have no explanation for this. How this dog will be able to manage? Actually, they have been trying chimpanzees. Because chimpanzee is the closest to human according to them, correct, no? They have been trying to train chimpanzee in words, in numbers. No, hundreds and thousands of tests across the globe have been done. They thought that is the closest to a human being, they thought. But even that is not trainable. What to speak of a dog? This fellow is doing all the mathematical calculation, you can see that. Okay, from a Bhagavad Gita point of view, what Gita says, there are two entities in this world, matter and spirit. Now, spirit means life, and matter means dead. And your body, in which right now you are seeing your body in the mirror, this body is not you. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says. This body is only a dress for the soul, he says. Just like your body is like a car, and you are like the driver. That's what Lord Krishna says. And one more thing he adds, body, mind, soul. Say, for example, you have a shirt and you have a banyan, correct now? Similarly, the body is like a shirt which you see right now. Like we are seeing each other. This is like the shirt. And inside this shirt, there is a banyan type subtle body. And then the real person, you, is seated inside this, called the soul. And Krishna says, that soul cannot be cut by scissor. It cannot be burned by fire. It cannot be moistened by water. If you drown the soul in a swimming pool, will he die? No, he won't die. Soul never dies, he says. Or you throw him in the burning fire, will he burn? He won't burn. Because the soul cannot be burned or cut, he says like that. So, according to Lord Krishna, in the 13th chapter of Gita, he says, Utkramantam sitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudana anupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha. There are two types of people, Arjun. One is called jnana chakshush. Another one is called as muda. Muda see only the body. They don't see anything beyond the body. But jnana chakshush, they see body, mind, soul. All the three. They see that the soul is seated inside the body and mind. Now, why body and mind? Because mind and body are the two equipments given to the soul. Mind is like a microprocessor and body is like a servo motor. In the mind, you store the desires, and in the body, you execute the desires. Clear? Now, for example, I have a desire to play piano. That is stored where? In the mind. It's stored in the mind. And then how do I exercise that desire? With the body. I get a piano and I play with my hands. That means the desires are stored in the mind, but it's exercised by the body. So body, we can say like a servo motor, and mind is like a microprocessor. Here you program in the mind and then you execute it in the body. Correct now? So these two equipments are given. What Lord Krishna says in 13th chapter, he says that every soul has some separate desires to enjoy in this world, which he stores where? In the mind. He stores and keeps. If you have 10 desires, then you fulfill them. 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time you finish 10, you got 20 more desires. Then you store them also in the mind, keep it. And then by the time death has come, after death comes, at the time of death, what happens? The gross body is lying down. The soul comes out with the mind. And the mind is carrying desires. And according to the desires, he is taken to a body where he can give shape to those This yes. Now, according to Gita philosophy, what is the explanation of this dog? He must have been some mathematics teacher before. But then he did some blunder with some girl, somebody. Some misbehaved. So he has become a lusty dog now. Correct now. But because he has done the mathematical calculation before, the same mind is going with him. And that mind is able to calculate. And he has become a dog because he has been demoted from a human body to a dog's body. Now I'll show you another thing, you'll be amazed. Okay, generally you tell me, children, at what age they start speaking cogently, properly, meaningfully, sensibly? At
87, 8.
uh,
5.
5 years of age? Not before that? Yeah. 4. Yeah. 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 Sensibly, or I can say, at least they speak some meaningful words, not just they blah, 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 like that. At least 4. Okay. Some children can speak even at 3 also. Even at the age of 3. Therefore, nowadays, pre-nursery school starts at 3 nowadays. Now I will show you a child, this child only 4 to 5 months old. Just you can watch this amazing child.
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानंद बता नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानंद रूपम लसत्कुंडलं गोकुले भ्राज मानम यशोदा भियोलुखलाब्दा वमानम परमृष्टमत्यंत तो द्रुते गोप्या रुदन्तमो हुर्नेत्र युग्मं भजन्तं करं भोज युग्मेन शातंक नेत्रं मुहुश्वास कंपात्रि रेखांक कंठं स्थितग्रैव दामोदरं भक्ति बद्धम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्द कुंडे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमाख्या पयन्तं तदीयेषु तग्नेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वं जितत्वम होता है, जित्यम नहीं होता है. पुनः प्रेम तस्तम शतावृत्ति.
So, again, this kind of a child, you all know Damodarashtakam, correct, no? You heard it. He said any word wrongly, he said every word correctly. And he's just a 4 or 5 months old child. But if you observe, even 1.5, 2-year-old child also will say ba ba da da do do, they'll be doing. They can't speak meaningfully, but you can see this child's recollecting. So I will show you one more boy in Karnataka. Newspaper is he's a prodigy, they call him. He's just 4 years old, but he can chant the entire Taittiriya Upanishad for 3 hours. Entire Taittiriya Upanishad. And he never went to Gurukul. Upanishad, they chant during this Shraddha and all they do. 3 hours of Taittiriya Upanishad you can chant. Kata, 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 kata. So I will get that link also. I will send it to Lilan Prabhu. He will share it with all of you. I actually have it. I have to search it. Small boy, 4-year-old boy. And his father says he has not even started learning Sanskrit in this life. But he is reciting all that. Where is it coming from? So, correct, no? So here is a point. So when you see from an empirical scientific point of view, they cannot give any explanation to any of this. They won't be able to give. Now where did this child learn this entire Taittiriya Upanishad? If you ask the boy, he says, I am bringing it from previous life. I was a Brahmin. And he has learned all these things. The same mind has gone with him. Now he is able to recollect the whole thing. Gajendra also recollected from the previous life. The prayers are called Gajendra Moksha. Now when the Srimad Bhagavatam says, people will dismiss it as religious. No, we don't want any religion. But in real life, you see these things. Okay, you understand, no? So you can see. So I showed you 2 evidences. One of a dog, one of a child. So out of this, who is pious in this? Child is pious. And the maths teacher has been impious. They got the body of a dog. So Krishna says, in the 15th chapter, he says, 13th chapter, Purusha prakritisto ki bhungte prakriti jangunan karanam guna sangosya sat asat yoni janmasu, he's saying. So asat yoni means the dog's yoni. Sat yoni means the child's yoni. Human body and Devata's body is called Sadyoni, good body, where you can become Krishna conscious. But that fellow got Asadyoni, dog's body he got. So, in this way, what you can do, you can use science to see that the spirituality becomes confirmed by science. Or you can see spirituality to observe that science is unable to explain certain phenomena. One more I'll show you. Interesting. You know, you heard about this Oregon?
The mysterious design has appeared scratched in the dirt of a dry and isolated Oregon lake bed. From the ground, all you can see are furrows going every which way, tidy trenches precisely 4 inches deep. But from the air, a stunning sight revealed. Fully 1/4 mile across, it's a complex design of nested triangles and swirls and exactly parallel lines. Its symmetry is perfect.
It has everybody talking. I mean, this is just something that it chills you.
The military discovered the strange design, Idaho Air Guard troops spotting it on routine reconnaissance. But no one apparently saw it being carved, and no one has claimed credit for it. The design, with its lotus leaf motif, is apparently religious in origin, Hindu.
Well, it's a symbol that aids in meditation, and it's called a yantra. And what it is a diagram that helps the mind focus on the point of meditation.
Why would somebody do this? It's incredibly time-consuming. A lot of expertise involved, had to take a long period of time, and maybe a lot of money. Why would they do that?
It's relatively recent, like mid-August, but it...
Surveyors say that creating the strange design would have required enormous effort, high-tech transit equipment, and perhaps $100,000 worth of time and gear.
Those lotus blossom, for lack of another different word, that design, the lotus flower petals, the inner one, from point to point, exactly 11.5 degrees.
Why would somebody do this? It's incredibly time-consuming. A lot of expertise involved, had to take a long period of time, and maybe a lot of money. Why would they do that?
It's relatively recent, like mid-August, but it...
Surveyors say that creating the strange design would have required enormous effort, high-tech transit equipment, and perhaps $100,000 worth of time and gear.
Those lotus blossom, for lack of another different word, that design, the lotus flower petals, the inner one, from point to point, is exactly 11.5 degrees.
Exactly.
Exactly. And the outer ones, they're exactly 23 degrees apart. Exactly.
No variation.
No variation.
And
It's like a yantra. They call it as a yantra. So now, this is where in an Oregon desert, some living beings from other planet have come and they have made this huge, encompassing some few acres of land. And this kind of drawing cannot be done by us. We cannot do it because it's a very huge thing. It is. We can draw in a small room, but it's drawn in a big desert. So the scientists, when they are observing it from an aerial view, they are seeing the vastness of it. And what are they amazed at is the precision, the depth, the same line. He's telling, dimension and all he's saying. Exactly he's telling. So now, again the same point, science is unable to explain how this yantra came in the middle of a desert, drawn so precisely like this. So, why I showed you some of these things today, you will see that our tendency in this world is to always try to see things through the eyes. Correct, no? But there are many things you see with your eyes which you don't believe. Say, for example, railway line appears to be converging. Is it converging? Or do your eyes see them as converging or not? What do you think? You have seen railway line? They appear to be converging. But they never converge at all. They go like this continuously. Similarly, if you put a pencil in a glass of water, how does it appear? Looks like it bent, it's broken. Looks like that. Is it really broken? So what makes you think that it is broken? It looks like that. Yeah? Law of refraction. Is it not? Similarly, you look into your mirror, which is concave mirror or convex mirror. You look like an elephant. Or you look like very, very thin like that. But you know very well that this is not me. I mean, it is just exaggerating. It's making my size. That means you see with your eyes, but you don't believe. Correct? Now, there are many things which we see with our eyes, which we don't believe. Correct? No? On the other hand, there are things which you don't see, but you firmly believe they exist. For example, Xrays you can't see. Alpha rays, beta rays, gamma rays, AM waves, FM waves, electromagnetic rays. None of which is visible to our eyes because our visible range is only 450 to 750 millimicron. Huh? Within that we can see, and outside that you cannot see anything. Our eyes are blind to any range outside this. It's a very narrow range. It's 450 to 750 millimicron. Is it a nanometer? Same nanometer is millimicrons. Yeah, it's a small range only it is. Outside that you cannot see it. Huh? But all these X-ray, alpha rays, beta rays, they come in that, correct now? Now somebody may say that X-rays we cannot see with eyes, but we can see it on a photographic plate. Correct now? Similarly, like you see, this is a cathode ray tube now. In the cathode ray tube, you can see the reflection from an electron. But you cannot see electron directly. Is there any electronics engineer who can catch electron and give you in the hand? They cannot catch it. They cannot see it also. What to speak of catching? But you can see reflection of an electron on a cathode ray tube. This is called inferential logic. Inferential means what? You cannot see the object, but you can infer the object based on another thing that you are seeing. Like I am seeing the reflection of an electron on a CRT. Based on that, I can say that what exists? Electron exists. Although I don't say. For example, you are sitting in the room and you are not seeing the sun outside. Now it's dark now. You can say sun is not in the sky. Based on what you told that it's not in the sky? Sunlight is not there. Similarly, in the daytime, noontime, bright sunlight you see here, but not the sun. But by seeing the sunlight, you can say what exists? This is also called inferential logic. Based on the sunlight, you arrived at the sun's presence. Based on the absence of sunlight, you found out sun is not there. Same thing scientists are using for proving the electronics and telecommunication field. You can't see the electron, but you can see the reflection of an electron on a CRT. In science, if you are accepting inferential logic, in religion and Shastra also, is it wrong if you accept inferential logic? Now, for example, when we talk about reincarnation, somebody says, I don't accept reincarnation. Now I showed you the dog, I showed you the child. This is inferential logic. Based on their behavior, which is completely strange, which no one else can explain by ordinary science. Correct, no? But Bhagavad Gita science is explaining it. So therefore, this is also inferential logic. There is a soul present in the body, and the soul has moved from the previous body into this body, and then it's carrying the same mind, because of which he is able to do these things. So Krishna is giving one truth, and the truth is becoming provable and observable by us. Correct, no? Understand the point? So in this way, there are two fields. One is science, one is Vedas. Now you hear some things about science, you hear something about Vedas. In whichever one you put faith, and that gradually over a period of time you observe many things, and then you develop your faith. That's called credibility, we call it. So after a certain distance, you cannot even understand what science is saying also. And beyond the Vedas also, after some amount of understanding beyond that, there are so many things are there in Vedas, vast ocean of knowledge, which all of us cannot comprehend. We have no time also. You agree? Science also, Vedas also, both have too many things to share. You agree? But what is your credibility? Which one has gained more credibility? You have to check. And there you will invest your time, faith, understanding, lifestyle, everything. So I was given a topic many years ago in Chapati to speak in a Parana festival called as Worshipping Vedas or Worshipping Science. Make a wise choice. That is the topic they gave. So then I very deeply analyzed what are we doing in science and what are we doing in the Vedic life. I made a comparison. I found that in science, what is the climax in your education? Can you say? What is the climax position people attain in education? Very intelligent scientist. You can throw it in the neighborhood. Same thing, the neighborhood country will take their PhDs and tell them, you make another bomb which you can throw in this country. That means I understood the science. Actually, even after so much of going to the greatest height, it teaches you the greatest violence. Initially, we were killing mosquitoes with electric bat. Then you got some Baygon spray to kill the cockroaches. And later on, man made dynamites now. Instead of breaking the mountains, now he's killing lives. Correct, no? You can see that. And it also creates cleavage between one country and another country. Our country will kill your countryman. On the other hand, I saw Vedas talk about Vasudha Eva Kutumbakam. You know that Vasudha Eva Kutumbakam? The whole world is one family. And God is one supreme father of all creatures. So I was in Calcutta. 120 countries came. People from how many countries? 120 countries. And all of them took that flag, small flag. And they were walking in a Harinam procession towards Victoria Memorial Building. I was also a part of that. In the front, they were having that Indian flag. They were all marching and all of them were doing Harinam Sankirtan. But something interesting happened before that. That day morning, our Calcutta leader found out that Narendra Modi has a Guinness Book of World Record. 105 countries he brought to India once. People. So now, if we do this, we will break Prime Minister's record. So our leaders became a little hesitant. So they wrote a letter. Sir, we brought 120 countries. We are thinking of doing Harinam in the evening for the golden jubilee year of ISKCON. So we are planning to do 50th year. So we were wondering, you have a record, should we break that record or should we, instead of 120, we can take only 104 people. So your record will remain. But Narendra was such a broad-minded man, immediately replied back with a letter saying that I am proud of you guys in ISKCON, that you brought 120 countries to India to do this Harinam Sankirtan. My best wishes to you. Go ahead. I am happy for my record to be broken. He said that more and more countries come to India to learn unity and not get divided. So here we find our Vedic Dharma is uniting all the countries. Here science is creating cleavage and throwing bombs at each other. Just see. So I made a direct observation because science is thinking, who are you? Generally, body. And when the body dies, everything is finished. That's what they think like that. Whereas in Gita, Krishna explains the non-mechanistic science. Science talks only about mechanistic science. But Vedas talk about non-mechanistic science, which means it talks about body is not everything. Therefore, nowadays, even many people are doing this, meditation, pranayama, correct, no? And yogasanas. And people are taking interest in the Vedic culture. They're coming to India. They're eating Indian cuisine. People are giving up all this junk food. Correct, no? Why? There is a large scale turn from the Western type of lifestyle to the Eastern type of wisdom. That is because the faith in the Vedic literature is increasing amongst even people of the West also. Like I'm going to America nowadays. 1.5 months, I go 2 times. There is a musical meditation club in UCLA, University of California. You will see that. So there, 60 to 70 boys, girls come and just close their eyes and sit and sing Hare Krishna very peacefully. It goes on for 45 minutes, 1 hour, they are ready to sing. The club name only is Musical Meditation Club. So they have developed a firm faith. I have got more than 30 research papers on effect of Hare Krishna mantra on the person's personality. And if you want, I can share those papers with you. You can see those papers. They are all international magazines. They are all published by from Australia, various parts of the world. Which means what the Shastra says is becoming proven by scientific researchers. Like I showed you one. In the beginning I showed you, right? Effect of sound on the rice powder. Correct? The pattern forming. Actually, the doctors have found that if you put a light, melodious, classical music, the plants respond by getting nourishment and growing. If you put a metallic rock music, 120 decibel, the plants dry up. There are experiments for that. If you go to the Google search, you will find out. There are videos also. You will find out that. That means, when we are talking about chanting Hare Krishna, it is not some theoretical phenomenon or a religious phenomenon which was spoken long before. Everybody is doing Japamala, so we are also doing. Science is eventually discovering more and more like this. Many evidence. I showed you that other one also, Florida University research, correct now? I showed you that also. Okay, now let's take some questions from all of you. Where is the mic? Here is the mic, yeah. Yes. Any questions? Not necessarily on what I spoke. You can ask outside also. You can ask. No problem. Yeah. Yes. There's one more mic also. That also. Okay.
So, Hare Krishna Babaji, you said that the mind transfers with the spirit. So, it goes from one body to the next.
Correct.
So, do the desires also from one body to the next body?
The desires are stored in the mind. The mind is like a hard disk where you store softwares. Our desires are like softwares. Like not only desire, your purva anubhav, previous experiences. For example, how many of you know what is the taste of gulab jamun? You know it, right? How many of you know what is the taste of bitter gourd juice? You know, now that is the experience. That is also stored in the mind. Why you hate your mother is saying, "Beta, please drink this bitter gourd juice," you run away. Huh? But mother says, "Medicine, please take it." Correct now? Then you may take it. You know you don't like it. Because these are experiences are stored in the mind as impressions. They are stored. So experiences are stored, likes and dislikes are stored, desires are stored, what you want to eventually do. Say for example, I am going in the road, I see one beautiful bungalow, colorful bungalow I see. I immediately take my smartphone, I take one snapshot. I go to my office and I make a printout of it and put it in front of me. And I'm thinking, I want to build a house like this. That means what has come in my mind? Desire has come now. Now I earn money next 4 or 5 years. Now I got adequate money now. Then I call a civil engineer and make a blueprint of that. Now the blueprint I see, I tell him make the kitchen here, make the drawing room like this, and this many rooms and everything. And the house color combination should be very similar to this picture which I saw many years ago. That is blueprint, second thing. And third, I give him the money and make the house done. That's the third stage. Correct, no? So first stage is desire, second stage is blueprint, and third stage is actual house. So in this way, our desires in the mind are gradually translated into action. And some of them are translated right away. Some of them after 5 years. Some of them after 20 years. 50. And in case some desires remained, and death came. Then it is stored in the mind and taken to the next life. You carry it with you. And Krishna gives a nice example. Like if the wind carrying aromas, that's the example he gives. Like sometimes in the train when it goes through a forest, some animal is dead or something sometimes. Nasty smell comes. Then we all plug our nose. Or sometimes there's a sugarcane factory, molasses factory. You know that? You all have seen the smell of it is? It's like stool smell, very nasty smell it comes. You just plug your nose. Because the wind is carrying the smell. On the other hand, when the train is going through some flower garden area, all these jandu flowers are fragrant and the wind carries the fragrance. So that is good fragrance. So the wind carries both. It carries good fragrance and also bad fragrance also. Similarly, we carry good karma vasanas and bad karma vasanas. For example, you all in this life also, you are doing some good things. Say you spoke some sweetly to somebody, you helped somebody, that is stored as a good vibration. You are angry with somebody, slapped somebody, caught the collar of somebody, that is stored as a bad vibration. And that is bringing forth reactions in the next life. So the mind carries both type of impressions. It's clear, no? There is a verse which says that Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati ishwaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayuh gandha nivashayat. This is the word I told you. Vayuh gandha nivashayat. The vayu carries gandha. Sugandha, durgandha. Both it carries. Clear, no? Yeah. Any other question? Any other? Yeah.
We have seen that many manuscripts or books have been destroyed. So,
Right.
example in Nalanda University.
Correct, yeah.
by-
A lot of...
by rulers then. Like, what was intention of Krishna? Because those manuscripts would have answered many of our questions now. So, I want to know what was Krishna's intention in destroying those.
See, you will see that like if Krishna is like the principal of your school. Correct, no? Then below the principal there are various departments, teachers and staff, and below that there are children. Sometimes you will find in the school, some child gets fail in mathematics. Imagine if a child gets fail in mathematics and says, why is the principal so cruel, he failed me in maths. But principal is far away. He wrote bad mathematics and he failed. You will see that. Similarly, there may be some tussle. Sometimes boys quarrel also in the school, correct, no? Quarrel. So who sorts it out? The teachers. Similarly, in this world, the living entities, they quarrel with one another. Somebody says, I am a Muslim. You say, you are a Hindu. Catch collar and fight beat. Like in Calcutta also, Prabhupada saw Hindu-Muslim riots happen. Then both of them killed one another, and lorry came and put everybody together in one lorry only, Hindu-Muslim, everybody, one lorry only for everybody. Prabhupada said there was no difference after that. After that, all bodies are mixed together and taken for burial or for burning like that. So these fights between the living entities are foolish fights, and Krishna doesn't interfere with this. He has made this world and made in charges as demigods. Like demigods are like the jail keepers. They will handle if thieves are fighting too much with one another, demigods will give a slap and make them sit down. Like that they will do. So Krishna doesn't interfere with this. But occasionally Krishna comes in this world. He says that when I come, why do I come? All of you know the famous verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He says that to protect the devotees and destroy the extraordinary demons like Hiranyakashipu or Kamsa. Then Lord finishes them. Prabhupada says Krishna comes to please Prahlad, not to kill Hiranyakashipu. Killing Hiranyakashipu, he can do it by blocking one of his arteries and creating a heart attack. Can finish him. But he comes to exchange love with his devotee Prahlad. And also Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, establish Dharma, the Lord comes. Other times when living entities do like this, see, they may burn the books, but they cannot burn the knowledge. Like you cannot put the date to the Vedas. Vedas come from time immemorial. So it's coming in word of mouth only. You don't need any written books in those days. But only 5,000 years ago, our Vedavyas put it in writing. Because he thought Kali Yuga Jivas cannot remember. But you can see, although some literature were destroyed, those literature were not necessarily only spiritual literatures. They were also material literatures. Like for example, Vedas talk about metallurgy. Vedas talk about history, they talk about geography, Vedas talk about biology, zoology. If those books are not burned, then from Vedas we can draw much more information for our daily life. But those are burned now by this person. But despite the burning also, now what they have done after that, many books have been printed in multiple numbers, like Puranas, for example. The 4 Vedas, the Puranas, Upanishads, they all are in print now. Now nobody can do anything now. Nowadays, printing presses have come, millions of books are printed now. Now, even if somebody comes and attacks India, tries to burn, we have multiple copies now. Correct, no? Yeah. Any other question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How can we control our distractions from eating and talking to others while doing chanting?
While doing chanting, yeah. When we are chanting, I'll just show you one thing. An interesting thing here you can see. This I did in Stanford. Very much people appreciated it. Okay. This I don't have to explain to you what it is. Correct. Now what is this? All distraction from electronic gadgets. How our heads are clouded in this world nowadays because too many gadgets, too many like video games, TV, smartphone, computer. All the time we have to handle these electronic gadgets nowadays. In our school days when I was a young boy like all of you, we used to have notebook, pen and everything. But nowadays mostly everybody is into, everything comes through phone and everything, correct, no? Like here you see, study requires, yeah. Like you look at the students, they all are attentive now, correct? They're becoming more attentive. You know what is, somebody can explain this?
Pouring oil requires focus. If you spill, it's very hard to clean.
Which one?
If you spill the oil, it's very hard to clean.
Yeah. Actually, I'll pose like this. Gubuk like that it comes, especially if you have a big teapot, correct, no? And you have to be very attentive. If you look here and there, it's going to pour outside, correct, no? So you need focus for that. Similarly, welding. You've seen welding? Yeah. If you take it too close, it will stick. If you take it far away, then it will not weld at all. So you have to be and you have to have the shield also, otherwise eyes will be blinded. Huh? So it requires focus and concentration. Who is this? Exactly, Arjun. Yeah. See, Arjun is sending. Exactly, he could hit the eye of the bird. Wooden bird, because he had concentration. He didn't see anything else. Huh? So, somebody can explain this one? Yeah. See, if you put a paper on the top of your house, even at noontime, when sun is terribly hot, will it burn the paper? It won't. But if you do like this with the lens, it burns. What is the reason? Focus point. And it takes the diffuse sunlight and focuses at one point. Similarly, our thoughts are also diffused. If you see, like he was asking the question now, So your question is relevant to this, correct? Like you had told, like sometimes we are sitting and chanting, mind worries about what happened in the past. Our mind is afraid of the examination coming next week. Or sometimes the thoughts of food comes. Sometimes the thought of some anger on some enemy comes, and all this. So they are diffused rays of the thoughts. So what you have to do, we have to, the lens is like the mind. Bring it all and focus it at one point. You have to cut all the distractions. Like here you see distractions, how it comes. Okay, I'll just show you just a minute. Okay, I'll show you one more thing. See this. What is how is the focus lost? Answer is given here. See what is written? Eyes are big distractors. So you should sit in a place and chant where, like for example, I should not sit near the door and chant. Why? People will be coming and going out. It will distract. Instead, I can go there in the corner and face the wall and chant. Then I won't be distracted with the eyes. And then, see, these children are distracted by eyes. Correct? Poor teacher, see that. So everybody is in their own smartphones. They are distracted by the smartphone. They are not able to pay attention to class. Another big distractor is, yes, ears sometimes pull us away from paying attention. Like what is she saying? She is physically present, but mentally. So for you to, that means what happens exactly? Say if I am sitting in a class, if there is a cricket, somebody is playing cricket, I see through the window. Then when eyes go there, mind also goes there. Correct, no? That means you are where your mind is, it is said. That means if you want the mind in the chanting, then we have to close our senses. Not let the senses, especially two senses, what are they? Eyes and ears. If some sound is coming, we get distracted with that. Yes. Like Madhumangal, for example, he would distract the other covered boys. If he sees that a friend here is having some laddus in his plate, what Madhumangal would do? Hey, look at the monkey upside down in the tree. Like that he would shout. So all of the covered boys would see the monkey upside down. Oh, hey, look at the monkey, how funny he is. He is actually hanging on his tail upside down. And in the meantime, laddus will be gone. How he could steal the laddus? He showed a sight and he made sounds. And same principle they use for all advertisements. You will see that. Like you hear when you go to the station, washing powder, Nirma, like that you hear the sound. Immediately you turn your face in the side where sound is coming. And there what they put? They catch your sight. First they capture you through the sound and then they catch you through the sight. And then when you see that, then you think, okay, now I have to buy Nirma now. You saw the advertisement. That's what they catch you. Same thing happened to Vishwamitra also. Vishwamitra was sitting with closed eyes, meditating. At the time he heard one sound. What sound he heard? Ankle bells of Menaka. He heard that. As soon as he heard the sound, immediately eyes opened. Because first, which one got distracted first? Yes. Then eyes opened. Then he moved in that direction. Who is making this sweet sound? Then he looked at Menaka. That's how he got distracted. Then he gave up his chanting and got attracted to that. So you will find that our focus is lost by two things. Eyes and ears. So begin with that. Withdraw the eyes and ears. So I will suggest you, if you want to know more about this, in my YouTube channel, if you put Vandanam, if you put DANAM. 3 lectures you will get. How to offer prayers, part 1, part 2, part 3. That is very detailed explaining about there are 3 doors. Body door, mind door, heart door. How to open the body door, and then how to open the mind door and go to the heart where you chant completely peacefully, without any distraction. You will be with only yourself and Krishna. You can nicely absorb. So those 3 lectures explain that. Okay? Any other question? Yeah. Just give it in. Hare Krishna.
So this is a general doubt I've had, and I left it unanswered without asking anyone. So in be it history or spirituality or anything, everything is focused around India and Bharatvarsh. Like everything is in all the history, Vedic history.
Yeah.
Everything is India. So
actually, everything is not India. I'll just show you 1 minute. Just 1 minute. See, here you will find, I'll show you. In Japanese, they call Ganesh a Shoten. See, this is the Murti of Ganesh. You see? It's called Shoten. And then you see here, Mahakala. Hey, what is the smell coming? Burning smell. Okay. See, Maheshwar or Mahakala is called Daikoku. You saw, na? See, this is Mahakaleshwar. See, Saraswati. See, they worship Saraswati like this, with a veena. See, Saraswati also with a swan and instrument. You know, who is this? Kuvera is called Bishamon. In Sanskrit we call him Vaishravana, or we call him Kuvera. But in Japanese he is called as Bishamon. See the Murti of Bishamon. Fine. Then Lakshmi is called Kichijoten. She is giving gold coins. You see, na? Correct, huh? Fine. See, Kichijoten. And Brahma is called? See, Brahma has 4 heads. You can see they worship Brahma like this in temples. In Japanese temples you will find Brahma Bonten. The Lokapala's names are also there. All these things. Yama is called Virudaka. Here we call Virudaka. There called Zojoten. And like that. Jikokuten, Dhritarashtra. So many names are there. Indra. See, they worship Indra coming on a horse. Coming on the elephant, Airavata. He's called Taishakuten. Indra Taishakuten. See, this is the Murti of Indra in Japan. This is how they worship Indra coming in Airavata. Right. Yama. Correct. So here. So like this Varuna, all of them exactly same. Whatever we worship, they worship the same thing. Like this you can go on. See Yama, Yenmeten. See Yenmeten. Yama. See, here Yama is sitting on whom? What is Vahana? The buffalo. Buffalo. Yeah. So, sitting on a buffalo, you'll see that. Like that it goes on. Garuda is called Karura. See? Karura. They also have. I can see. They are worshipping Garuda. There. This is all Japan. Vishwakarma. What is Vishwakarma's name? Vishukatsuma. Vishukatsuma. Vishwakarma. So the Murti of Vishwakarma is there. See, he's having a hammer in the hand, correct now? Because he does sculpture. He does. Architect. Yeah. See, they also do yajna. Like we do yajna. So, why? See, traditional fire ceremony. And they're calling it, see, a gomado is a smoky, small smoky shrine where the sacred fire is prepared in an ancient round hearth. Cypress wood is burned and the flame is used to lit up the. So they have, similar to Hindu Havan we do, they also do like this. If you want to know more, you can see this.
Is it only the Japanese or other countries?
Now I showed you Japanese. In the same manner, you can also Now, for example, in America, your Murti of our Lakshmi was dug and removed. Vishnu, Lakshmi, Russia also. So I will suggest you one book you can read in order to know more about this. I'll just show you just a minute. See, you put Stephen Knapp. You got the spelling? Stephen Knapp. Stephen Knapp books. This is Stephen Knapp. You can note the name. So I'll show you some of his books. I'll show you. See the books, what he has written. The Secret Teaching of the Vedas and Universal Path to Enlightenment, the Vedic Prophecies, a new look into the future. How universe was created and their purpose in it. So it's all based on the Vedic. So he has written one book, I'll show you where it is. See that 23rd number. What is 23rd? Here he says about how India's culture was all over the world. Evidence of Vedic culture's global existence, he calls it. So spreading Vedic truth, okay. And then like this. See, there are his books. So many books now. So, see this book. What is the name of the book? You saw this? Proof of Vedic cultures. That book you can see. That book you can. This is the book I was telling you. You can get this copy of this book. Nowadays, he has made it available in India also, cheaper. Earlier, it was printed only in America. Now it's printed in India also. Proof of Vedic culture's global existence. Your question is answered here. Big, bulky book it is. With photos he has given. Many things. In different parts of the world. Stephen Knapp. Okay? Okay, any other question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Why is it that only some people show their properties of their previous life? Why is it not like we also? All of us show those properties, like what we had experienced in the.
The reason is, in general, the scriptures say that our previous life is covered. It's hidden. So that you start this new life fresh, without any. Imagine if somebody died in an accident in the previous life. If they remember now, they are going to have phobia now. Like nightmares. But if it is covered, then you begin to like a new life. Correct now? So, Lord actually makes all living beings forget the previous life. At the same time, one thing we should remember, the bad things we did and we got kicks, that maturity is kept in the mind. For example, some children will never touch a cigarette also. Because they have, in the previous life, they already smoked, they got cancer, they suffered, they died also. Now they will not touch cigarette in this life at all. But there are some children who will take cigarette, smoke, suffer, and then only they will learn. Correct now? So the maturity not to touch cigarette is there stored where? In the mind it is stored. That means life after life you become mature to avoid things which are dangerous to your system, self-destructive habits. Avoid. Those are all stored. So what is good for us, Lord is already taking care. But He is not reminding you of some of the deadly situations you went through in the previous life. He puts a cover over it. So you can't remember it. But some people are remembering it, which means Krishna is releasing that type of, like Ian Stevenson has researched on this. There are many books also available. You've seen that? I'll just show you. See, so many books. There are books on reincarnation. Hundreds of books have come now. Many, many books. Like the old man is dying and a boy is coming. Like here you see, phobias related to the mode of death of the person in the previous life. Like some girl died in a swimming pool. The next life she has a phobia of water. And that is connected to the previous life. We saw that. Somebody died by bladed weapon. She has fear of bladed weapon. Some people have fear of the gun. Like that. See, scientifically speaking, another point. These twins, how many of you have seen twins who behave differently? You've seen twins, right? Do they behave the same way or differently? So, actually, genetically, they have only one egg only splits into two. Correct, no? One. There are twins? Here, any twins? You and? Acha, you two are twins, huh? Okay. Right. See how the twins are born. One egg splits into two. And from that, they both come like this. So they must look very similar. But when the behavior comes, there are two different souls who have entered the two bodies. Therefore, they have different likes and dislikes. That's what Einstein Stevenson says here. You see? Read that, one of you.
With identical difference in temperature.
Mike is there.
Difference in temperament of twins proves soul. Even though identical twins are physically born by the splitting of a single egg from the same genetic material, they may have striking contrasts in temperament. The difference in temperaments is because of two different souls reincarnated in two different bodies that are genetically identical.
Actually, science cannot explain. According to science, if you think you are the body, nothing more than the body, then genetically you are same, then you should behave also same. So, but this is again proving the reincarnation that although you look similar externally, there are two souls which are running the two bodies. Correct, no? Yeah. Like that, this is a part of this is actually a movie called, this is from the, Discovery Channel. So this is a video which I will ask them to show you in one of the future classes, you can see. But see, this course on Discover Yourself is a very nice course. If you haven't done, I can tell the other devotees to do this course for you. It's a very scientific course. It explains about science of soul, It explains about science of reincarnation. Many of your basics will be so nicely cleared. After this, you can go and show these PPTs to your friends also. Your friends, the nose will be cut if anybody is arguing. It's very, very scientifically, because we are presenting everything from Einstein, Oppenheimer, and Newton, Kelvin, like that we are bringing everything. As I told you, we have to show our friends spirituality from science point of view. Then they will be convinced. Otherwise, if you just tell them come and do bhajan with us, they will ridicule you.
Some of them are still ignorant and adamant on what they've been taught in the past or whatever problem.
See, if they're arguing, you show them evidence. If they still don't agree, then bye-bye, we leave them. Like, there in South India, sometimes they do this Malyuddha. You know Malyuddha? Two fellows, South India, they have big moustache like this. Big moustache with the ball, two balls here. One here, one here. You seen them? Yeah, they do this kushti, they do. One fellow caught hold of the other fellow and put him on the ground. And this fellow's moustache touched the sand. Both moustaches got dusty with the sand. Then when he allowed him to lift it, then this fellow asked him, do you agree the defeat? He said, no, not yet. He's saying, even after he put him on the ground, still he didn't agree defeat. What can he do? Then you leave them.
Adding on this, we have many other materialistic friends. And we, to an extent, get influenced by them and by their habits. So should we not form a relationship with them and only associate with the devotees, or
like when you go to school, in any classroom, at least 10-20% of the boys will be pious. You will see. In your class, how many of you can think of at least 10% of the boys in your class? You say good boys. You can say, correct, no? So what I would do, as soon as I go to the class, first I will identify, who are the good boys. Then I will take both of them, put one boy this side, one boy this side. So both sides, because then you will have good association. Otherwise, if you are going to associate with any Tom, Dick and Harry, some of them will bring atheistic vibrations, Some of them will be foolish people who argue, and even if you give evidence also, they will not listen. So then we have to keep away from them. According to Bhagavatam, if somebody is making false argument, foolish argument, not willing to listen the right argument, you should keep a distance from them and pray for them. Because if you go and argue with them, you will become heated up and your heart will become hard. And the heart becomes hard, we can't chant properly. Because you will develop hatred. You will develop revengeful thoughts and hatred. And both will be in a nose-cutting mode. That's not very good. So we keep distance from them. It says that Ishwara Dadineshu Balisheshu Dvishachicha Prema Maitri Kripa Upeksha. It says Upeksha means you keep them at a distance. You say, okay, you do your thing, I will do my thing. You can leave them. And make friendship with those who are pious, those who are willing to listen, innocent and non-blasphemous. With them we can associate. And you all have to find out how many of you have some good friends with you in the same class. You have some good friends? Yeah. So identify them and stay with them. Take your lunch with them. And put them right next to you on either side so that, and these guys will always keep giving good vibration. You can give them good vibration, they will also give you. Correct, no? Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. Yes, please.
In Bhagavad Gita, according to the Varnashrama Dharma, they said that the four Varnashrama Dharma are really important. Some in modern society, they say that it's not needed.
It's a classless society.
Yeah, it's equality is needed. But in Bhagavad Gita, it's also stated that Varnashrama Dharma is not needed in front of me. I did not understand.
I'll tell you the meaning. What Krishna says is in a different sense. What the modern day people say is a totally different sense. I'll tell you what is the meaning of this. First of all, we should know that in any place you go, these four categories of people will always be there. You can remember the acronym TATA. You can remember TA, TA. I'll show you just one thing. See, these four categories of people will be there everywhere. You can see the Brahmanas are compared to head, Kshatriyas to shoulder and hands, and the Vaishyas to belly, and the Shudras to legs. Now, like I saw this in my own class. In my class, in my school days, when I was like a young boy like all of you, there was one boy called, Karthik, very intelligent boy. After the school will get over, he will do the homework in the school only. He will not do homework at home. In the school only he will do homework. Then a lot of 5-6 boys will be surrounding and copying quickly. Everything he's putting in a notebook, they will copy. He's a smart fellow, very intelligent fellow. So he knows how to solve a very complex problem also. There is another boy who was little fat and hefty. Whenever the neighborhood class boys would take our football away, we'll go and report to this boy, Mani. His name was Mani. And Mani goes and then catches the fellow who stole the ball. They will drop the ball and run away. So he would bring the ball and give us. So he was a mighty fellow, strong fellow he was. There was another boy, one Ramu. This Ramu one day came to the school with a pencil with a rubber behind. And in our life, we had never seen a pencil with rubber. This was having a rubber behind. We asked him, hey, this is a nice looking pencil. Where did you get it? He said, my father brought it for me. Do you want? He asked everybody. He said, yes. Bring 2 rupees, he said. So we all gave 2 rupees to him. In those days, 2 rupees means now it is like, 200 rupees. Very costly it is. So we gave him 2 rupees each. And then next day he brought 3-4 boxes full of pencil with rubber behind. He brought and gave us all one pencil. And teacher madam saw that and said, hey, what is happening there? Why you are all crowding? Then she came there. And we all told the madam, he has brought pencil for us. We paid him 2 rupees. Madam laughed and said, this pencil is only 20 paise. And he's taking 2 rupees because father is a businessman. And he's doing good business with pencil also. And there was another fellow, one Karpaya, one boy. He'll be sitting in the last bench like this always, sleeping in the class. Teacher will go on teaching, he'll be just sleeping. When the class ends, dang, when the bell rings, that is the time he will jump up from his place. Then he will take the duster and remove all the dust, bring the chalk piece from the staff room, put it in the front, make the board clean everything. After doing that, we'll go to sit and go to sleep again. So now you all have to tell me the name. I will tell you. Ramu, one who was selling pencils. He's in which category in this? Four? Vaishya. The one who would get our ball back to us. Kshatriya. And Karpaya was sleeping in the last bench. Because he had no interest for studying. He just wanted to do physical work. And the boy who was solving mathematics? You understand, no? So these four types of people you will find everywhere. Intellectual class, Brahmana. So now also you go to any industry, company, they have R&D. Do you know that? Research and development. So who is sitting there? Which category of these four? Brahmana is sitting there. You will see that. And finance and accounting, big building they have every week. That's Vaishya, yeah, correct. And there's an admin building where all the managers, works managers, the MDs, they all sit. That is Kshatriya, yeah. And the workers in the lathe machine, different machines, they are all working. That means they have it now. They may not call them. But these four classes are visible, visible even in modern day society. Now I went to IIT Kharagpur. One devotee took me in a bike to show me the campus around. So he took me. So I saw that is director's bungalow, he said. Huge bungalow with compound wall and everything. Then he took me to the HODs, head of the departments. So they also had one bungalow, but smaller bungalows. Like that. Then he took me to the professor's colony. There it was row houses. You know row house? They were not, and all the houses were in a row. They didn't have a compound. Row houses like that. Then they took me to the laborers, and they were living in a place like a chal, they call it. You know chal? Chal means simple accommodation with, the doors are not there, only they have curtain type of thing. Very simple it is. Workers and others. So then I asked this boy, if they say remove all these four classes, then everybody should be given same type of director's bungalow. Can you give it? That means in society also, they are categorizing people in different ways. And they are also giving them different facility as per their contribution. Do you agree? So it is a scientifically provable thing. You can see that. Now I will tell you even more scientifically now. Why is a Brahmana considered to be head? Because Brahmanas give the vision to the whole society how to walk the right path. Brahmanas can listen to people and understand their grievances and solve their problems. And Brahmanas can smell if anything is burning in society. That means people are having some grievance, they can smell the grievances. Like how many of you can smell if the halwa in the kitchen is burning in your house? How many of you have the nose to smell it? Correct? You can tell your mother, Mom, it's smelling. Correct, no? Yeah, so Brahmanas can smell any grievances in society. And with the mouth, they can give upadesh. Therefore, Brahmana is compared to the head, yeah. And similarly, why Kshatriya is compared to hands? Okay, if some object falls on you, will you stop like this with the head? Your hands, immediately you'll bring the hands. Or if somebody is coming to attack you, you will punch him on the nose with the hands only, correct, no? So therefore, Kshatriyas are compared to the hands. And why Vaishyas are compared to belly, can somebody say? Yeah. The belly digests the food, turns it into blood and sends it to all over the body. Similarly, Vaishyas generate money, like cow protection, farming, trading. They do. And they give Brahmanas charity. They give Kshatriyas tax. They give Vaishyas food, clothing, shelter. So they are the economic lords who supply the money and the resources to all the society. So they are belly. And why the Shudras are compared to leg?
Because without them the society doesn't.
Actually, they are compared to leg because above the leg only belly, shoulders and head, all the three it carries the leg. Similarly, these fellows, they assist all the three. How they assist? Brahmana want to do yajna. So the Shudras will bring the bricks and other things to make it. Because Brahmanas are thin, they are very weak, they cannot carry heavy loads. Shudras will help them like that. And they will get some, remuneration. And not remuneration, food, clothing, shelter they'll get. Because if you give Shudras money, they will drink and smoke and spoil their, good health. So they are generally not given money. They are given all the necessities. They are provided like that. And Kshatriyas, what they do with Shudras, they put them as foot soldiers in the army. They are not Shudras. Those who join the foot soldiers are horse soldiers. Horse soldiers, foot soldiers are not Kshatriyas. They are simple Shudras only. But Kshatriyas are like Maharathis and kings. They are like Kshatriyas. And Vaishyas, how the Shudras assist? In the field to beat the hay and remove the grains, or put the water in the field, or sometimes keep the wild boars away, things like that. Shudras will assist the Vaishyas. Market, carry the things, going in a very heavy sack or something. In this way, they are assisting the previous three classes. So legs are carrying the whole three parts of the body. So it's Kama Shudra. How many of you feel it's very scientific? Correct, no? It's very, very scientific. And another reason this is very important, I'll tell you why. You see, this is divided according to your psycho-physical nature. Like I am brahmachari now. Why? Because Brahmana brahmachari, I had a liking for studying Shastra and speaking. So now I joined this, I am happily doing it. For the last 30 years I am doing it. Correct now? Imagine if you tell me become an engineer in a company and you work in an IT company and you make money. My father also told me, sit in the business shop and then you can count the money and then deal with the customers. I am not interested in that. That means he wanted me to be Vaishya, but I wanted to be Brahmana, because this is natural for me. That means this can give you a clue on which field you can choose. For example, if you like to go for managing people, you have a tendency to organize, plan, coordinate, control, manage. How many of you have that nature? You have seen that. There is one there. You like to be a coordinator, correct, no? Coordinate things and things like that. Anybody else likes to coordinate or organize or plan, organize a group of people? You like to do. So that means you're Kshatriya, second one. You like to. So that means you can go for MBA, for example, correct, no? And such kinds of things when you grow up. Then in the company you can become a manager kind of thing. Like that, yeah. Organizing. Or if somebody has a great vigor that I want to protect India, then you can go to NDA and join National Defense Academy and then become an army officer. Or you can join Indian Air Force, or you can join Navy and things like that. Correct, no? I also had a great vigor that I want to join Indian Air Force. So I went for the pilot officer interview. So 5 days interview, 120 people, they brought down to 80 and 60. And last day we were only 4 of us selected. I am from Tamil Nadu, one from Kerala, one from Karnataka, one from Andhra. 4 people only. And they gave us officers treatment. And they said, you will be posted as pilot officer now. We sat with all the officers and ate. Then I went to my father to sign the oath of undertaking. They said, although your son is a pilot officer, he may be asked to fly sometimes. And any life risk involved in emergency case of armies, the Air Force will not take responsibility for that. That means one should be ready. Then my parents said, don't go for IAF. They didn't. So I had a little inclination for that kind of thing. But eventually I found out of the 2 inclinations, Brahminical and Kshatriya, my Brahminical inclination was more stronger. At the same time, I had a Kshatriya inclination also. Therefore, I became president of the temple, organizing, managing, controlling people and everything. So this is very helpful for you to know your nature. Like how many of you, if I give you 10 rupees, you can make it 1,000 rupees by taking that. If you have that is Vaishya. That means one of the easiest ways you can know also is to know your father. Any of your father is being businessman? Any of your father? The businessman? No, they all are working in a company, correct, no? Yeah. Then you may not have. So therefore, in this way, the psychophysical nature is understandable through that. It's very scientific. So he was asking why Krishna says, I am above Varnashrama. The reason is, this is given only for conditioned souls. We are all what souls? Conditioned souls. We are trapped in the body and we have this Brahman, Kshatriya, Shudra nature in the mind. But when you become a devotee, you go beyond this 4 and do whatever Guru says. That is called transcendental. Because Brahmana is in which guna? Anybody knows? Sattva. And Kshatriya is in Rajaguna. And Vaishya is in? No, Vaishya is in Rajaguna and Tamaguna combined. Vaishya. And then Shudras, Tamaguna. But a pure devotee of Krishna is beyond all the gunas. Shuddha Sattva. Therefore, that's considered above. You understood now? Yeah. Any one last question? Yeah.
Is this Varnashrama Dharma, your qualities, is it also coming from a hereditary or something?
Actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj says that in the ancient times, the Brahmana son was always Brahmana. Kshatriya son was always Kshatriya. But what happened? Intercaste marriages started. Like, for example, Kardamuni is Brahman, but he is marrying Devahuti, who is a Kshatriya. She is Kshatrani. Then the child, you cannot say they will be in which category. Then he says, Yasya Lakshanam Proktam. Purno, he's saying, he says that Yasya Lakshanam means you see the Lakshanas and decide. You know, a person is inclination. If you are a man of letters, you like to read books, you like to study Shastra, preach, that means you are Brahmana. Like after they got the hand of Draupadi, Drupada was suspicious. These fellows are dressed like Brahmins, but they don't look like Brahmins. So what he did, he kept 4 tables he kept. First table he kept all the Shastras, books and all he kept. Second table he kept some mace and a sword and knife and all those weapons he kept. Third table he kept all gold coins, silver coin and all the coins kept. And fourth table he kept some food, dress and all those things he kept. When Pandavas finished their prasad and everything, washed their hands when they came, directly they went to which table? Second table. Bhima went and took the mace and he was watching. Then immediately Drupada said, these fellows are Kshatriyas. So from that you can know, correct no? How a person is. Based on what are his leanings, inclination, and what are his activities, what he likes. Based on that you can know. Clear? Yeah.
Prabhuji, you said that for science we use inferential logic and all that, and similarly we should use it for
like soul, for example. How do you know soul exists? Next time when you come, I'll tell you 9 proofs for soul's existence in this material body, and all scientific proofs I'll give you next time.
Yes, but Prabhuji, when we, like for inferential logic, we use like something which is real as like reference, Prabhuji. What should we use for like spirituality?
Which one reference, you're saying?
We, like for science, for inferential logic to prove something which we cannot see.
Yeah, correct.
We use something which we can see.
Yes.
So then,
same
like,
with
spirituality, what do we use as reference?
Oh, we can whatever you're observing, based on that you can know what is not observable. You understand? No?
You said, Prabhuji, what should we use to observe?
Like I'm telling you, with your senses only I'm saying.
Because we can't see like the soul, we can't see.
No, even electron you cannot see, no?
Yes, sir.
No, can you see electron?
No, Prabhuji, but like we use like a...
See, like, you can't see, there are 2 things. One is electron, one is cathode ray tube. Which one out of the 2, which one you can see?
The cathode ray tube.
So in both the cases you are using eyes. With your eyes you cannot see electron. But with the same eyes, you can see cathode ray tube and reflection of the electron. Similarly, I am telling you, you take the soul, you cannot see. But the effect of the soul in this body, that is observable with your naked eyes. Like I showed you the dog and the thing. So, just as you believe in the electron based on what you see with your eyes, same way based on what you see with your eyes, you can believe in the presence of soul. That's the point. That's why it's called inferential logic. Is it clear? Yeah.
Like a lot of people in my class, they're arguing against Big Bang Theory, which brought up the topic of the creation of this world. So then some of the arguments they give that God created this world is like, every creation has a creator and God is that creator. So then what do we say if...
You can ask them one question. Say you have a father.
Yeah.
And your father has a father. You all have seen your grandfather, right now? Anybody have seen grandfather's father? Any of you have seen? You have seen, yeah. In some families you can see. So, have you any of you seen grandfather's grandfather? You have not seen, huh? Now, how many of you are sure that he existed? Correct now? If he didn't exist, we won't be here. Correct now? Yeah. Now, above him, if you go up, his father, go up. Ultimately, the father of all the fathers coming in your line. Is it a stone chunk or is it a living person? What do you think? You can ask them. Was your greatest grandfather a stone chunk? You can ask them. Correct, no? If they say yes, he was a stone chunk. Show me one thing, one living form coming from a stone. Right now, prove it. If you say you are a scientific man, challenge them. But I can show you right now a man and woman coming in a family and they are begetting children. That means I can show you that life comes from life. But you cannot show that life comes from a stone chunk. Therefore, you are proven wrong. This is our argument. Correct, no? So, this is called cosmological proof. You go up, then you come to the point where you see that the father of all fathers is Brahma. And Brahma came from Vishnu. And then Vishnu is expansion of Krishna. And Krishna is not within time domain. Krishna is outside time domain. So, he never changes. So, he never dies, he is never born. And is eternally existing. Therefore, we say Anadir, Adir, Govinda, Sarva Karana, Karana, we say. And we will learn these things more, but that boy doesn't need so much. You can tell him this much, that the source of all the living bodies has to be a living body. It cannot be a stone. If you say it's a stone, prove it. That's the question you have to ask. One mosquito you make out of a stone and show me. They cannot show it. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah.
Prabhuji, following up on his question, suppose in the same discussion, somebody said that, so for a person, there has to be a creator. So then who is God's creator?
Correct. Now regarding this, Einstein wrote one dilation theory. You will read that. I have a paper on that also. Einstein's dilation theory, time dilation theory. See, this is the one. This is the paper. I can send you this paper. This is in YouTube. You see?
Einstein's theory of special relativity has fascinated the public for about 100 years. People about clocks running at different speeds, a myriad of peculiar other effects. And people might be willing to accept those, but when they start thinking about relativity, what seems to be paradoxes, and then they began to doubt the theory because, well, paradoxes. One such paradox is the oft-quoted statement that moving clocks tick more slowly than stationary ones. This is the whole basis of the ideas of interstellar travel, where a person at high speed on a spaceship to a distant star ages more slowly than a person stuck on Earth. If that rings a bell, that's the basis of the famous twin paradox of special relativity. I'll actually make a video focusing entirely on the twin paradox, but in this video,
Actually,
I want to really drive home some math.
You will understand the train one more easily.
Number 2 experiences more time than number 1. However, relativity requires that the laws are the same, no matter who is not moving, and this poses a problem. Suppose that we say number 2 is stationary with respect to his clock, and number 1 says that the clock is moving. Then number 1 experiences a longer time. Okay, so this is a problem.
Actually, this is
if you pick person 1 to be the stationary with the clock,
I'll tell you in a more simpler fashion, I'll tell you. But you can, in this same website, you will find, it's Fermi Lab, no? Yeah. In this, you will find there is Einstein's dilation theory. Very more simply explained also is available. Here it is there. See, what is this dilation theory? Small one. You can see this one. This will be more easy.
One evening in the spring of 1905, Albert Einstein, then a mere patent clerk in Bern, after trudging through his day's work, decided to board a tramcar on his way home. Einstein would often wrap up his work as soon as possible to contemplate the truths of the universe in his free time. It was one of these thought experiments he devised on that tramcar that revolutionized modern physics forever. While receding away from the Zeitglocke clock tower, Einstein imagined what would happen if the tramcar were receding at the speed of light. He realized that if he were to travel at 186,000 miles per second, the clock's hands would appear to completely freeze. At the same time, Einstein knew that, back at the clock tower, the hands would tick along at their normal pace. For Einstein, time had slowed down.
You understand this point?
Blew his mind.
See, what he's saying, what he's saying, you all know the speed of light is 3 into the 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, correct now? So that means in, like this 1 second now. In this, how much distance is covered? 3 into 10 to the power of 8. So, now for example, take a y-axis, take a x-axis. In the x-axis, put time. In the y-axis, put space. It's covered, distance covered. If it's only 1 second, that means the time has not moved at all. But the distance covered is, your line is going to be vertical. Correct now? And if you don't move at all, distance covered is 0, then it will be horizontal. And everything else will be in between. Correct now? Okay, now you will understand further.
But the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time.
Faster you move through space, slower you move through time.
Einstein's work was heavily influenced by two of the most iconic physicists of all time. First, there were the laws of motion, discovered by his idol, Isaac Newton, and second were the laws of electromagnetism, laid down by James Clerk Maxwell. Newton's laws insisted that velocities are never absolute, but always relative, so that their magnitudes must be appended by the phrase, with respect to. For instance, a train travels at 40 kilometers per hour with respect to someone at rest. However, it only travels 20 kilometers per hour with respect to a train traveling 20 kilometers per hour in the same direction. Or it travels 60 kilometers per hour with respect to another train traveling in the opposite direction at 20 kilometers per hour. This is also true for the velocities of Earth, the Sun, and the entire Milky Way galaxy. On the other hand, Maxwell found that the speed of an electromagnetic wave, such as light, is fixed at an exorbitant 299,792,458 meters per second, regardless of who observes it. However, Maxwell's notion seems incompatible with Newton's notion of relative velocities. If Newton's laws are truly universal, why should the speed of light be an exception? This presented Einstein with a daunting dilemma. This conflict between the ideas of Newton and Maxwell can be demonstrated with another of Einstein's brilliant thought experiments. Einstein imagined himself on a train platform witnessing two lightning bolts strike on either side of him. Now, because Einstein stands precisely in the middle of the two strikes, he receives the resulting beams of light from both sides at the same time. However, things get more complicated when someone on a passing train views this event while whizzing past Einstein at the speed of light. If the speed of light conforms to the rules of relativity, then the person on the train wouldn't witness the lightning strike simultaneously. Logically, the light closer to the man on the train would reach him first. A measurement of the speed of light made by both men would differ in magnitude. This would contradict an apparently fundamental truth of the universe. Einstein had to make a difficult choice. Either Newton's laws were incomplete, or the speed of light was not a universal constant. Einstein realized that the two notions could coexist with a small tweak in Newton's laws. To get rid of the discrepancy in the measurements, Einstein suggested that time itself, for the man on the train, must slow down to compensate for the decrease in speed, such that the magnitude remains a constant. Einstein called this absurdity time dilation, and his newfound theory special relativity. Newton believed that time moved unflinchingly in a single direction, forward. Einstein, however, had just realized that time stretches and contracts, varying with velocity. Due to its malleability, time, like space, deserved its own dimension. In fact, Einstein claimed that the two were one and the same. Together, they formed a four-dimensional fabric or continuum called space-time, upon which the mundane events of the universe would unfold. Einstein suggested that massive objects like the sun didn't pull bodies like Earth with a mysterious, inexplicable tug, but rather curved the fabric of space-time around them, forcing Earth to fall down into this steep valley. A highly simplified analogy is the dip in a trampoline made by the bowling ball. If a marble were placed on that trampoline, the marble would immediately roll towards the bowling ball in the center. This is also true for Earth's gravity. We are pinned to the ground because space, so distorted by the Earth's mass, pushes us down from above. However, the slump in the fabric around Earth is not uniform, and Earth's gravity grows more intense as we move towards its center, where the curvature is at a maximum. Therefore, like the marble on the trampoline, an object that falls towards the Earth accelerates as it races towards the center of the planet. It falls faster when just above the surface than it does, say, when it is slightly above the atmosphere. But hey, according to special relativity, the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time.
See, the faster
this means that time runs slower on Earth's
heard,
surface than it does above the atmosphere. The slower
the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. So this is explained in the Vedas how on the earth 6 months are equal to 1 day in the heavenly planets. And another 6 months on earth is equal to 1 night in the Heavenly planets. Which means 1 day and night there is equal to 1 year that passes here. Now if you go above heavenly planets to the Brahma Loka, there if you do like this, 1 second is equal to 1 year here. So it goes converges like this. You are able to understand it? Here it is 1 year, here it is 1 day, here it is 1 second. Now you go beyond Brahmaloka, outside the universe, the time doesn't flow. Yeah. Is it not true? So therefore, we are all inside this time domain, therefore our bodies are changing. But if you go outside the universe, there is no time flow, so naturally there is no change of body. And Krishna, it says that Ishwaraha Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. His body is made up of Sachidananda, which means we are discussing soul. It can neither be created nor be destroyed. Soul disappearing from one body reappears in another body without any loss or gain, just like you talk about energy. Correct, no? So, in this way, Krishna is also a soul, but he is called the Supreme Soul. And we are also souls, but we are minute souls. Neither the minute souls nor the Supreme Souls ever grow. They eternally remain in the same identity. When they are outside the time domain, they have no other material body. They are only in their spiritual body. When they enter into time domain, they are given these 2 coverings, which are only changing. Soul is not changing. What is changing? Yeah, just like your dresses, every day you are putting new dress. Like that, the soul is changing the external body, but soul remains the same like that. So because Krishna is never born and never dies, we are also never born, we never die. But the difference is he is master, we are servant. Like that. And therefore somebody is asking, who created Krishna? That question they are asking because they are seeing based on time and space. But Krishna is beyond time, beyond space. Is it clear? So in this way you can find time dilation theory. If you put, you will get more information in this. So there is explaining more. Actually, I have another video. I am not able to locate it. I think it's based on the train example is given. 2 trains moving. That will be even more easy than this explanation. But you got the explanation? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah?
I have one more.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, in a tsunami,
5 minutes पूरा कर देंगे, हैं?
in a Japan tsunami, the death toll of humans was very high, whereas when they saw of animals, it was like 0% or 1% something. How is that possible that mostly the humans died compared to the animals?
In the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, yeah?
No, that was tsunami.
The tsunami in Japan.
Any natural disaster.
Right. See, one thing is who should die and who should not die. That is karmic control. Karmic control. According to karma, see, who is buried under the sand and the water flows over them, they must have aborted their children in the previous life. They never allowed the child to see the daylight. So they are also buried under the sand like that. So it's mass karma, we call it. So it is Lord's amazing arrangement. How mass karma is delivered to the jivas, whether tsunami or earthquake or volcano and things like that.
But really, how did animals' death toll is very low?
In the tsunami. But animals also have extra sense not to come near the ocean side whenever there is because they can even, they have extra sense, you know that? Like for example, if a Yamadutas are coming, dogs will bark in a different way. Like that they'll make sound. You've seen that? Any of you heard that? When somebody is about to die, the dogs make a peculiar type of sound. They don't normally bark. Bah, 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 they won't bark. Like that they make different type of sound. Which means they are seeing some extraterrestrial persons coming, which is not visible to our eyes. How many of you know dogs can sniff and catch a thief? How many of you know? So why can't we can anybody sniff and find a thief?
We don't have the senses.
We don't have that senses. Similarly, animals clearly know earthquake is going to happen here. Tsunami is going to happen. They have some sense to know that. Probably no animals were in that location, correct, no? When human beings are foolishly there. Yeah, they're supposed to be there.
Why don't humans have that sense?
No, we don't have that. Like we can't find sniff and... Like for example, you have the ability to read Bhagavad Gita and go back to God. Dog cannot do that. So God has given one ability to one and another ability to another. Okay, so we'll conclude here. Where is the Mridanga? We will do 5 minutes Kirtan, okay? And then we will... Prasadam is waiting for all of you, right? Where are the Kartals? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You sing? Everybody together now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One at a time. He will lead, we will follow. Huh? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, everybody together. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Harinam Sankirtan ki. So there's a special prasadam waiting for all of you. Huh? Yeah. You will take them? Where they show? Last room, I think. Huh? Yes. Thank you. So we are